7 with Mr. Hill. Morning, Mr. Hill.
Morning. How you doing?
I'm good. You?
Yeah, I am. The snow has disappeared. I no longer need to wear my thermals. You know, I can walk out of my front door without tottering about like Bambi.
We've got a high of 13 up here, I think. So toasting, mate.
My car said 14
I say up
degrees.
here. You're up there. I'm right
No,
down here.
I'm in Yorkshire. Well, I'm in Scarborough, where the sun shines all year round. It says on the sign on the way in.
Does it?
Yeah.
Talk about false advertising. We would never do that sort of thing. All right, let's roll in. So, guys, this week we're gonna talk about we've got an offer for you basically, and we're going to talk about why we're doing it, why we think it'll work, why you shouldn't do what most people do in January. So it's new year. We want you to be the same you, but we want you to be hopefully a fitter, leaner, stronger, happier, more productive version of you. So we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, I suppose I think maybe the first place to start is what usually happens, isn't it? And
yes,
we've both worked in gyms, haven't we? And it would usually be, it wouldn't be the 1st or 2nd of January. It'd slowly be happening, maybe the 1st, 2nd January, but like it would be maybe the first Monday. Would be like a really busy time in the gym, wouldn't it? And there'd be a lot of people coming in.
Yeah, and look, it's good. Like, don't get me wrong. That's like what we're saying is that's not good. It's really good. But what's not necessarily good is that it's everything that goes with that. So look, if someone wants to do dry January, that's cool. That's totally fine. But you see dry January, giving up carbs. What's some of the other things that people do? Like just saying, oh, do you know what? I'm not going to eat chocolate now. No processed foods, no sugar. And you're like, whoa.
Cutting out lots of things. It's like I'm gonna eat salad every day for lunch. I'm not gonna drink at all. I'm gonna have dry weekends. I'm gonna go to the gym 5 times a week. And all this, I'm gonna do it all at once. And I suppose after Christmas, everyone's might be feeling a bit sluggish. And it's like I get it. It's like January. It's a new year, isn't it? It's a new year. It's a new start. Do you know what? I'm gonna.
And that word detox pops up, doesn't it? Detox pops up from everywhere, and people are saying, you got a detox, which our bodies do brilliantly, by the way, by just drinking a lot more water.
Yeah.
You're going to be desperate for that normally after Christmas. So our bodies are great at detoxing. So please try not to get sucked into that. I think that's what
kind of really like where you live off aloe vera for a week, aloe vera juice and like some pills and things. It's odd, isn't it? But I suppose it's maybe desperation is the wrong word, but it's like we're looking for a solution to the problem, and it I think sometimes maybe it's the human condition. We want something big, a big bang, and that's going to fix my problem.
I think it's absolutely, it's definitely that, and I think what it comes down to is like that Christmas period. Essentially, it's 3 days, isn't it? Really, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, but it's not. Let's be honest. So we all have to build up. Like this week, there's probably Christmas parties and all sorts going on. And then you have between Christmas and New Year's all sorts going on. So it's probably 2 weeks of the year where you're not eating good food. Well, not necessarily good food, but healthy food. Biscuits are out, the chocolates are out, celebrations are out, all those things are out. There's more alcohol. We're probably run down as well because you've had like a year's worth of work. So you throw all that into the mix, and you come January the 1st, 2nd, and you are feeling pretty crap. Let's be honest. Yeah. Sluggish, lethargic, tired, probably a little bit of regret. Oh, you can't face the scales. And when you do, you realize you've put on 7 to 10 pounds. You're like, oh my fucking God, what have I done? So of course you want to reverse it as quick as you can. Yeah. It's human nature, and you want to like, okay, I fucked up. I need to reverse this as quick as I can. What should I do? I give up everything.
Yeah, so what happens like week 2 then? What do you see with people after they've kind of done this?
I think, well, we all know, I think New Year's resolutions, probably across the board only, I think, especially in health fitness, probably last about a week, isn't it? Or 2 weeks, like tops.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, the enthusiasm's there and people wanting to make these changes. And I genuinely think it's great. But what you got to look at is, and this is what we always say, and like this is our belief as coaches, is like everything has to be long term. So So if you're doing that in the first week or two and you can't see yourself continuing to do it 6 months or a year's time, then it's not a long-term solution. And it's a quick fix for a period of time. And when you finish that, oh God, I can't wait to go back to my normal lifestyle, my normal eating, my normal habits.
Yeah. And it's, I suppose when I'm talking to the people I work with, it's like almost we think, right, what we're doing now, how does this fit into the future? And it's hard to have really long-term goals. It's hard to say, how do you want to be when you're 80 or 90 or 100? How do you want to be like that? What do you want to be doing? But I suppose you've got to be thinking, if what I'm doing now, what I'm trying now, if I can't see myself doing it in 18 months' time or a year, then maybe what I'm doing is not the best thing, and maybe isn't going to be that long-term solution, because that's what we want, don't we? We don't want to next January. You don't want to be in the same situation, or even slightly worse. And if we're being really honest and tough about it, if for the last 10 years, January, you've been doing the same thing and you haven't fixed it yet, and you've been slowly getting, 10 years older, but also kind of less fit, then there has to, if you want to not carry on that decline, you have to try something different.
Something has to change, doesn't it? Yeah. I think you're right as well. Like, it should be looking at small-term goals, but with that vision of what the long term looks like. Because in business, you'd have the long term as in you'd want like the profit margins to be looking a certain way, but how you get there is a short-term goal, and having those processes in place to get there. And if in business, if you said, it's only going to work for this period of time, but it's not going to work in a year's time or 18 months time, you'd be like, well, that's not going to work then, is it? Yeah. You'd be like, no, right, we need another solution. So it's exactly the same in your health and fitness, short-term goals, but with an eye on what that long-term solution looks like. Yeah. So I want to get into like, what are some of the things that people really need? Because I've written a few notes down. I think, what do you think people really need when it comes to like the new year, as opposed to maybe some of the things you've mentioned that they don't need, the detoxes and giving up everything?
Yeah, well, I think at first is kind of really setting the baseline and saying, right, this is where I am right now. Because there's something, if you're not tracking what you're doing, it's very, very difficult to know when something works and also when something doesn't work. And when
what gets measured gets managed.
Well, yes, what's it measured? There, a very wise man has said that to me once. So yeah, setting that baseline, and you mentioned kind of jumping on the scales and that being a difficult thing, and I totally get that and I understand that. But kind of we have to face the reality, and part of the reality is measuring. And again, another phrase is the scales don't really care about your feelings, and that number doesn't actually change the reality of it. And there has to be a point where you're saying, right, this is where I am. The benefit of knowing where you are at the beginning is when you've made a few changes and you've seen an improvement, that's going to spur you on. Whereas if you're just going at it by feeling, which a lot of people do, they say, I feel a bit fitter this week, and I'm motivated because I feel a bit fitter. And then maybe another week, maybe they're tired and run down, and maybe something shit's happened at work, and they don't feel so good. And it's like, I don't feel like what I want to do it. I'm not motivated to do it. But that feeling has no connection to the reality of maybe how they're doing, and they might actually be doing really well. The weight might be dropping off. They might be getting fitter. They might be getting smaller. But their feeling is guiding the actions rather than the actual situation.
Yeah, and like when I talked about business a minute ago, looking at those long-term goals, like if a business was struggling a little bit with profit, you'd get someone to come in like that would zoom out and get all the information. The first thing they'd be like, right, what are the incomes? What are the outgoings? Where can we cut costs? The same again when it comes to your weight. You need to figure out where you are. It doesn't have to be scales. We know that. Photos, again, feeling is important though, but photos, scales, measurements. But
actually, that's a good point, isn't it? If you're only measuring one metric as well, that quite often happens where people will only measure their weight. And I've had clients lose no weight for 5 or 6 weeks, but lose 10 centimeters off their waist. So they're making improvements. And if you only had that one metric, you'd be like, oh, I'm failing. It's not working. And also I would, as a coach, be thinking, right, what we're trying isn't working, but actually what we were doing was working.
Yeah, no, those are the things that make people feel like it is work, and it is working. Because so you can have a week that maybe you don't feel was as good, but if you've lost 2 centimeters off your waist, you're like, okay, this is good. I'm making progress. I'm still working.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's about measuring, I guess, across the board really, like how your clothes fit and look, photos, taking the measurements and getting on the scales, because you need to accept almost like where you are to move forwards. Which again, look, by the way, we all know that's hard, especially after Christmas. Nobody wants to jump on the scales after Christmas, do they? But unless you do that, how do you know you are moving forwards?
And
Accept it and then move forward from there.
And imagine that kind of I guess the psychological kind of getting over that hurdle of stepping on the scales, which is difficult, and you might not want to do it. If you like mentally, that's a really good little test, isn't it? And it's like it's a bit like working out in the gym and making your muscles stronger. Every time you do something mentally difficult, you actually get mentally stronger. And that's also useful because, again, when you get to week 3, January week 3, and you're not as motivated as you were, then you need to have that mental strength to go, do you know what? It's Monday. I said I'd go to the gym at 6 a.m. every Monday for January.
Yeah.
It's 5:45 and I don't want to get out of bed. But part of that mental strength goes, do you know what? But you are going to get out.
Yeah, and the more of those wins, because that's a win, isn't it? The more of those you can have because we all know the mental battle is the hardest thing. So the more of those wins you can have, that those times you didn't want to do certain things like drink the water or go in the gym or like eat a healthy breakfast, those times where you are a bit tired, you're a bit lethargic, the more of those times where you push through that, the better you feel, and you go, well, I did that last time, so I can do it again. And they really do stack up. I think one of the biggest things for me is why, again, people struggle maybe in January is there's no accountability. Two things actually. Accountability. So if you're going on your own, we all know if I was building a house and I'd employed a load of builders, if the foreman was on the job every day, keeping an eye on them, I reckon my house probably gets built a little bit quicker, more efficiently, and they're on it, right? Whereas if the foreman's not there all day, every day, keeping an eye on people, then people do slack off. See, the accountability, I think, of either support of a group or people around you, keeping you accountable is like massive. And I think that's what people struggle with in January because, well, if I don't go to the gym, no one's going to say, what happened there then?
Yeah. And I think sometimes there's a feeling that I should be accountable to myself. But I think by definition, I don't think you can be accountable. Accountability doesn't work like that. Accountability only works from an external factor. I'm like you said, I'm in a group who are working towards a goal together. And actually, if I don't do this, then maybe there's a feeling of I'm going to let my team down, and that can push you through. And again, it might feel, why am I using me letting somebody else down as a motivator for me? But actually, it's helping you, isn't it? It's improving you. We're not trying to make you do something you don't want to do and don't actually want. It's like, I'm going to work as a team. But also, what about accountable to maybe a higher why as to why they're doing it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think, again, if we go back to, obviously, we're talking about like what people do in January. I think the damage gets done at Christmas, and it's like I say, you want to reverse that as quick as people can. Understandable, but there's no net. There is a thought around it. There is, of course, but it's like I did this thing over here where I ate and drank too much. Now I've got to try but there's no real like we said at the beginning, no real long-term plan of action. It's just I hear all these things that I know I should be doing in the gym, giving up booze and all these things, and then I've just got to go and do it. Whereas if you be a bit patient when it comes to weight loss, because it doesn't go on overnight, it's not going to come off overnight, and you think about like, why is this important to me? Like you say, those higher reasons for your kids, for your wife, for work productivity, for just longevity, so you feel good all the time, not just for a period of time, because people can be quite inconsistent at times, and we see it all the time, don't we? That people go 3 to 4 times a week in the gym for 4 weeks and then 2 months off. Just imagine if you can get that consistency 3 to 4 times a week, every week.
Yeah.
And then energy levels are like that all the time. And then you're prepared for all the challenges that come up, because you're physically and mentally in a much better place.
I suppose that consistency keys into a discipline rather than motivation. And going, motivation can be really useful in the I don't know, at times, or in the short term, or you can go, I'm going to go and work out, and I'm really motivated. I'm really going to enjoy my workout today because I really want to do it. But then if you're just relying on motivation as your tool, then that's going to wax and wane. That's going to change with the weather, with work, with your kids, with your hormones, or whatever it is. It's going to go up and down like this. That's when you got your discipline, which is the base kind of, I am disciplined to do this. And I guess that keys into having that longer term goal.
Yeah.
It keys into making sure that what you're doing is maybe easy is the wrong word, but as achievable as you can make it. And you're not trying to do things like sleep detoxes and not trying to do anything extreme or cutting out all the food that you enjoy, or things like that, which inevitably leads to it being very, very difficult. That's going to feed into that discipline, and that's going to mean you are, again, in 2 years' time, you are still going to the gym 3 times a week. You're still eating well during the week and maybe being a bit more relaxed at the weekends, or however you want to live your life. You're doing those things because now you've got that discipline.
Yeah, and I think it's what I was thinking there. It's about setting yourself up for success instead of setting yourself up for failure. I think what a lot of people do in January is almost set themselves up for failure. So you've not been in the gym for 2-3 months, and then suddenly you're in the gym 5 times a week, aching as well, probably because it's hard, and it's busy, and maybe you're not getting on the machines, and you're trying to follow this diet plan when it's almost impossible to follow. So you're almost setting yourself up for failure. Whereas if you make those small sustainable changes, like, right, do you know what, I'm going to commit to the gym 3 times but 30 minutes. So then by the end of that first week, you're like, I did it and I can feel good. And maybe even those 30-minute sessions, maybe they end up 40 minutes anyway, just because you decide to stay 10 more minutes. But you're committed, instead of thinking I've got to do an hour, I've got to do 5 times a week, and then I've got to go home and get my protein and all these things that we know we probably should be doing, but it's quite difficult to do when January is just quite a depressing month anyway, isn't it? Let's be honest. It's probably the hardest month to make all changes.
Blue Monday is like the 3rd or 4th week in January, something like that.
It's like, I just feel like it's such a hard time, and look, of course we can't let ourselves off and go, oh, it's January, it's hard. But it's a tough time to really make some sustainable changes.
Yeah. And that's definitely where you need. Definitely, again, that's where kind of we come in. You need support, and I think it's if we're talking about guys in particular, asking for help is I think we're better at it. But asking for help is tough, and especially because part of you asking for help is you being vulnerable and saying, basically, there's something I'm struggling with. And I'm struggling to do it myself, and that maybe hurts our pride a little bit, especially when it's something like health and fitness, which is really personal, and our bodies, which is really personal. But also it feels like the solution is quite simple. Oh, I just need to eat less and do more. That's all I need to do. And it feels like that maybe it's simple, and that also feeds into that kind of that maybe prideful feeling that actually I should be able to do this all on my own. And why can't I? So I guess asking for help is the hardest bit, I guess.
Yeah, it 100% is, because it, like you say, it is vulnerable. There's this thing I'm struggling with. I can't seem to crack it myself. So then to actually open yourself up and say, do you know what, I'm going to get help, but then commit to getting help, and then you're opening yourself up again. But what if I don't get the result? Yeah. I've then committed to something and it might not work. So that's always a little bit scary. Yeah. But there's a reason that's scary, because it's meaningful. And it should be a little bit scary. You should feel a bit of resistance, because that's the thing that's going to push you forwards, hopefully. Yeah. All right, let's. I thought we'd only be on about 10 minutes this morning, having a little chat about what our plans are, but it's all good. All right, so look, guys. Like I said, we have got an offer that's going to be rolling out in January. The reason we're putting this together is, me and Tom absolutely love what we do. We love helping men to really step up in their fitness. And another thing that we really like doing is getting men together in groups. So we believe that teamwork, accountability, support is massive. And I think when you're doing it together as part of a team, you are a team. So when you were talking about being accountable to yourself, you're also accountable to your teammates. And I've been running the group for just over a year now, and it's been awesome. So we want to try and do more of that. And we want to do it together because I love working with Tom. He's an awesome guy. And what's better than one coach? Two, right?
Really, yeah.
So we're going to be launching in January. If anyone is watching this and thinks, yeah, this sounds like something that could be a good fit for me, just post in the comments or give us a like. And also, even if it's not for you, maybe like and share and comment as well, because we do appreciate feedback as well, and it gets more people. Dave, Mr. Whedon, my old client, accountability is the main driver, 100%. Nice to see you, Dave. Post in the comments and please like and share, because we want this to get out to the people, because we love it.
Again, it just helps. It helps the algorithm, doesn't it? Even like you said, if it's not for you, if you like it, it tells Facebook land or the algorithm, the AI, or however it works, that what we're talking about is of interest. So yeah, and I suppose we're looking. It's having that group together, isn't it? And having that, there's something really, really powerful about having a team. And I think with maybe I'm generalizing, with women, they tend to talk a bit more, and they tend to have this naturally, whereas a lot of guys that I speak to don't have that kind of that environment, maybe that nurturing environment where they can work on that thing they're struggling with, the health, but also with other guys doing it. And one of the things that I say to my group is, you kind of, if you need help, you ask, but also if someone else needs help, you offer it. And there's something really powerful in that. If you can say, if somebody asks in the team saying, "Oh, I'm struggling with this," and you've got over it, you can jump in there and go, I had that same problem, and I tried these things, and look at me now. And that's a really kind of empowering and empowering thing to happen.
Yeah, 100%. And I think because we both did one-to-one for a period of time. I still do one-to-one. I've had my group now for about a year and a half, actually, maybe 2 years. And there's such a strong bond. And what I like and what I get the feedback is that it's all like-minded men, like-minded people that all want to be like healthier, fitter versions of themselves, and they all support and guide each other. So I've had this problem and someone else has had it. And what it does is, we're talking about that vulnerability and how it can be a bit scary to admit we're struggling with certain things. But when you're in a group of all people that have struggled with similar things, it's like, I'm not alone, which is, I think, is really powerful. Like, someone else has struggled with this, so I'm not alone, so I can share. And it's really fucking powerful. I love running the group side of things, because I love that teamwork aspect of it. That, for me, that's the biggest thing, the support, accountability, and being part of a team.
Yeah. I mean, if I think back to when I first started exercising, I did it totally in private, in secret, and that was really fucking hard. And back then, I wish that something existed. I'm not sure whether it did. Something existed where I could have got support. But also, I'm thinking back, would I have asked for it? I don't know if I would. But I know that if I could say to Tom, 25-year-old Tom, go, you know what? If I could be there and do it, that would be an awesome thing. So, yeah, having that team is brilliant.
I think what people struggle with, and I'm sure you've had this with pretty much every conversation you've had that has come on board, into your program, when you have that onboarding call or the call beforehand, is that it's really scary for people. I think we kind of forget, because we're coaches, and I think when you're a coach, you're all used to being vulnerable, because we've been through coaching programs and you have to be vulnerable and ask for help. So we kind of forget that is really like opening yourself up. So I think people come in and it's scary at first, like really, really scary. And in our minds, we're like, why is it scary? You just make some changes, you're going to move forward, you're going to feel great. But it is scary. So I think one thing that if anyone's listening to this, like, it's going to feel a little bit scary, because change is a bit scary. But the flip side to that is, when you are moving forwards, when you are feeling better, when you are losing the weight, you get more energy, fucking hell, it feels good.
Yeah.
It feels really good. So that little bit of fear, it's a real good thing. and don't let that take over, because I think a lot of people let that take over. You know, what's that saying? You have to wait until the pain is worse than in the situation you are in now. You won't make that change. Some of that, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you've got to. Yeah,
pain is change, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, there has to be like a little tipping. I guess there's a tipping point, isn't there, where people go, right, do you know, enough is enough, and right, this is time to do it. And you can't. Maybe you can force it. I don't know if you can or not. But yeah.
The crazy thing is, normally, you know, I always ask this, like, how long have you been thinking about doing this? And I've had people that have gone, I've been wanting to make changes for like 5 years, like sometimes 10 years, or how long have you struggled with this? And it's been even longer. Yeah, Dave's saying because the diets don't work, you're a precondition to failure. Yeah, like that's. I mean, like we said at the beginning, like you've got to look for that long-term solution. I'm glad Dave's on, because Dave was an awesome client. Absolutely loved working with him. Great guy, and also got a fucking great result. So, anything else we want to talk about, Mr. Hill?
Yeah, I suppose if people want some details, they can ask, they can comment, but we can put some more details out. I guess it's just putting that idea in people's head that there's going to be something in January which is going to be an awesome thing. And like you said, I like working. We've worked together, and having that again, it's to be part of a team. Again, that's one reason why we're working together, to be part of a team. It can be a lonely world, the coach's world, kind of plugging away on your own. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, like we're doing this because we want to be part of a team ourselves. So it's not just like getting the group of guys together. We want to get together too, because we'll be part of it with you. I always feel like I am like that when I do one-to-one anyway, but I feel like you're almost a bit more of part of the team, almost like the two coaches, and we've got our team to go out and perform, and we want them to feel like they're ready to perform. So that's kind of like the way I see it. Just a couple of things, I think, just to go over what people think that, you know, if we're going to do something, like, just to let you know, guys, like what we believe in is, me and Tom really believe in small sustainable changes over a long period of time, like really build up. So if you were going to come and work with us, we're not going to expect you to be in the gym 5 days a week. That's not how we work.
And even like and a lot of people, like we mentioned the gym, I go to the gym, you go to the gym. Sometimes that isn't what people want anyway.
And true.
Again, we're not going to force on our ethos onto you. It's a matter of us supporting you to find the way that you can live your life and be fit and healthy. And again, for forever.
It's what's the saying? It's better to progress over perfection. Progress over perfection. So yeah, the gym might be the best thing you can do in terms of bang for your buck. But if you absolutely hate going to the gym, have a home workout. Whack a DVD on. Whatever you can be consistent with.
DVD. How old are you, Michael?
All right, YouTube. All right, I need to get with the times. No, but anything where you can be consistent with is better than not being consistent. So yeah, like whatever it is that's going to work for you, that you're going to continue to stick to. So I think that's something that people maybe get a little bit concerned about. The diet side of things, I think people think they're going to have to eat rabbit food for a period of time. No, you're not. We're going to make sure that the foods that you eat are best for like performance, and that you actually enjoy eating, but maybe just in different moderations. And it's mainly normally tweaks to the diet that need to be made.
And testing things out. I mean, it's all again, if somebody comes to you and says, this is the perfect diet for you, and they don't know you, and they haven't met you, and they haven't assessed, and they haven't checked, and they say, right, you're going to go on this diet, then they are lying to you. And it's if you want to make long-term sustainable change, it's about trying things out, testing things out, getting advice from the people that have done it, me and you. Yeah. But we're not going to come in and say, here's a PDF diet plan at day one, because already know that doesn't work.
Yeah, and anyone can get that off the internet.
Yeah.
Anyone can get that off the internet and work out plans. We all know that's not the problem. It's figuring out what are the biggest challenges in each individual's lifestyle and making plans and strategies to get over those, so clients can move forward. Yeah. Anything else? Any other challenges that people barriers that people have when it comes to making changes, or what people get concerned about?
I think the main one is just making that leap and actually just saying, I need a little bit of help. And actually, I don't want to, like, I'm in my 40s now, I'm 42. And it's like, if you're thinking, right, I don't want to be, I don't know, if you're the same age as me, you say, I don't want to be 50 in the same situation or worse, then there has to be a change. And what you're doing now, again, if we're being really kind of honest, isn't working for you. And again, if you're thinking, I need to make a change, then just by putting your hand up and going, do you know what, I need a little bit of help, and talking to us and saying, just, is this right? What we do might not be right. But sometimes even just putting your hand up and saying, I need a bit of help is enough.
Yeah, the leap's the hardest thing. And I did an article a while ago about like taking the leap. And I think especially when it comes to coaching, because everyone's journey through a program will be different. So I think you have to have a leap of faith, because you'll join a coaching program, but we can't tell someone exactly what that's going to look like for a 6 week or a 12 week, whatever that period of time is, because it's coaching. Yeah. And everyone's journey is going to be different. Everyone's going to have different struggles. So you've almost got to take a leap of faith and look at either maybe clients' results or people that have worked with us, or like, you know, so you've got that idea of like, is this the right fit? And almost try and go in with a little bit of trust that, I don't know, these guys know what they're doing, you know, and go for it basically. But it does require a leap of faith. Same as when I joined my first coaching program, biggest investment I've ever made in my whole life. I didn't know what that would look like, but I had to take a leap of faith.
I had no idea. I joined the first call. I was like, what have I joined?
Yeah, I know, but you have to back yourself and think, yeah, this is the right thing. And by the way, like I did my research. I knew I pretty much knew it was the right thing, but I still didn't know what that journey would look like. I'm glad I made the investment, but yeah,
and that's important. Absolutely. Like you said about research, it's like checking us out. Make sure that what we say makes sense. Make sure it resonates with you. Make sure that we aren't assholes that you're not going to enjoy working with. Because if it's not, you should be checking us out. You should be making sure 100%. That if we're going to be helping you with your health, which is probably the most important thing that you need to look after, then you need to make sure the people who are going to work on it are the right kind of person.
Yeah, because you're going to spend some time with, you know, if anyone does come and work with us, they're going to spend some time with us, and I would hope that they'd think, yeah, these two are decent guys, and I can see them being the right fit for us, and vice versa. I'm like, you know, we have calls beforehand, and my frame of mind is, and this might, probably shouldn't say this, but my frame of mind is like, would I go for a beer with this dude? Like genuinely, and maybe I should change it to a coffee. But no, my frame of mind is like, would I go for a beer with this dude? Like, would we get on and spend time together? Do I want to help him, and vice versa? Is he going to be a good client for me, and am I going to be a good, I guess, coach or mentor, whatever you want to call it, for him? You know, it's got to be the same thing. I'm hoping they're sitting there going, yeah, do you know what? Michael's the right guy, and I would go for a beer with him.
Yeah,
or a coffee. If it's January.
Yeah. It's important, isn't it? It's a relationship. It's if we're going to have the biggest impact we can, then there has to be that kind of trust and that kind of a bit of a bond, I guess, between the people we work with.
Yeah, 100%. Because if you look at any successful team, you speak to anyone about their manager or coach, and they'll go, "I'd run for a brick wall for them." You know, I'm not saying we're expecting that, but you want to have that feeling. You want to have that. Yeah, do you know what? It's not just me. Like, I'm doing this for me, but I want to show like either us two like that I can move forward. I can step up. I can do these things, or I can maybe do a little bit more. You know, we want that feeling of always pushing forwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I think that's enough. I'm sure people have got questions, and we always appreciate any thoughts and feedback. I don't know. Will we be doing one next week? We haven't actually discussed this.
Will be the day after Boxing Day.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Well, should we? We'll
talk. We'll get one in between Christmas and New Year.
Yes. Yeah. I think so.
Yeah. So guys, yeah, like I said, any questions, any feedback, always appreciated. We know there's probably a few things that people do want to know, so either send us a DM or post in the comments. We'll make sure we get back to everyone. And like we say, if you do want to share, we do appreciate it. So
absolutely,
yeah. We won't see everyone now, so have an awesome Christmas and New Year, everyone.
Yeah, right. See ya.
And you, mate. See you later.
Cheers, dude.